What if I told you there are entire villages in Dubai where men are forbidden and the lives inside are completely invisible to outsiders?
Welcome back to the channel. Today we're pulling back the curtain on one of Dubai's best-kept secrets. When you think of Dubai, you think of the Burj Khalifa piercing the clouds. You think of artificial islands shaped like palm trees. You think of wealth, luxury, and spectacle. But there's another Dubai, a hidden one. Scattered across the city are gated compounds, entire neighborhoods where only women live, work, and build their lives. No men allowed. Strict security, total privacy. So the question is, what really goes on inside these hidden villages? Who lives there? What are they hiding? And more importantly, why don't we ever hear about them? Let's find out.
First, we need to understand why these places exist at all. Dubai is a cultural crossroads, a place where traditional values meet hyper-modern ambition. And for many women, especially those from conservative backgrounds, living in mixed communities isn't an option. Privacy isn't just preferred, it's essential. So developers created something entirely unique: women-only residential compounds. These aren't basic housing blocks. We're talking about luxury gated communities with everything a woman could need. Private schools and childcare centers, state-of-the-art gyms and wellness spas, shopping centers and cafes, beautifully landscaped streets with private parks, 24/7 security with biometric entry systems. Men? Almost never allowed inside. Husbands, fathers, brothers? They might get visitor access, but only under strict supervision. Delivery drivers? They stop at the gate. This is exclusivity on another level. And for the women who live here, it's not just about safety. It's about freedom. Freedom to dress however they want, freedom to socialize without judgment, freedom to build businesses, networks, and lives on their own terms. But here's where it gets interesting. So, what does daily life actually look like in these hidden communities? Imagine waking up in a villa surrounded by palm trees and manicured lawns. You step outside, no need for a headscarf, no eyes watching. You walk your kids to school within the compound. Then you head to a private gym where every trainer, every member is female. Afternoons might be spent at a women's-only cafe, networking with entrepreneurs and executives. Evenings? Social clubs, book groups, yoga classes, all within the safety of the gates. But the architecture itself tells a deeper story. These villages aren't just gated, they're engineered for invisibility. High walls, tinted windows, underground utilities so no male workers need to enter. Some compounds even have their own power grids and water systems. Everything designed to keep the outside world outside. From the street, you'd never know they exist, just blank walls and a security booth. But inside, a completely self-sufficient micro-city. It's the ultimate contrast. Dubai's skyline screams for attention, but these villages whisper. They're the invisible city, hidden in plain sight. And that raises a question nobody's really asking. Who actually runs these places? Sure, property developers build them, but day-to-day operations, management, businesses inside the compounds? Some insiders say these communities have evolved into more than just residential spaces. Rumors suggest they're hubs for female entrepreneurs, private networks where women run businesses, form partnerships, and even control supply chains that feed into Dubai's larger economy. Could there be hidden empires operating behind these walls? Could these villages be the birthplace of Dubai's next generation of female power brokers? We don't know, because outsiders don't get in.
Let's talk about what we don't know, because that's where things get interesting. On one hand, these villages represent something empowering, safe spaces where women can thrive without compromise, places where cultural values and modern ambition coexist. But on the other hand, isolation can be a double-edged sword. What happens when entire communities exist outside the normal flow of society? When there's no media coverage, no public oversight, no transparency? Some critics worry about regulation, or the lack of it. Are residents protected by the same laws? Do they have the same access to legal recourse if something goes wrong? And what about the stories we never hear? Think about it. If these villages are as private as they claim, how many untold stories exist behind those walls? Stories of ambition, resilience, maybe even conflict or hardship. We're left with speculation, and speculation breeds mystery. Could these compounds hide entrepreneurial networks we've never heard of? Could they be breeding grounds for social movements? Or are they simply exactly what they appear to be? Private, peaceful communities where women want to be left alone. Here's the thing, we may never know, and maybe that's the point.
So why don't we hear more about these places? 3 reasons: media restrictions, privacy culture, and deliberate invisibility. Dubai's media landscape is tightly controlled. Stories that don't fit the city's luxury brand, they don't get told. And these villages don't fit the image of champagne brunches and rooftop pools. Add to that a cultural expectation of privacy, especially around women's spaces, and you've got a recipe for secrecy. But it's not just Dubai. Hidden female-only spaces exist around the world. In Japan, there are women-only apartments and entire floors of buildings. In Saudi Arabia, private female compounds have existed for decades. Even in Western cities, exclusive women's clubs and co-living spaces are becoming more common. The difference? In Dubai, it's bigger, more luxurious, and far more invisible. Tourists flock to the Burj Khalifa, the Dubai Mall, and the beaches. But these hidden villages, they might as well not exist, unless you're one of the women living inside. Dubai's glamour hides a hidden world, visible only to a few. Women-only villages, luxury, secrecy, and privacy, all existing right beneath the city's glittering skyline. These aren't just neighborhoods, they're parallel societies, invisible cities within a city. And the truth is, we may never fully know what happens inside. But one thing's clear: Dubai's future isn't just being built in its skyscrapers. It's being built behind closed gates by women most of the world will never meet. So here's my question for you. Do you think these villages represent empowerment or isolation? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to go even deeper, next time we're uncovering the hidden female networks controlling parts of Dubai's nightlife and underground economy. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay curious.